Okay, we are live and we are recording. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. This is our City of West Miami virtual regular commission meeting. It is Wednesday, May 20th at 10:08 p.m. Madam Clerk, if you can read the instructions for joining the Zoom commission meeting.
Yes, Madam Mayor, good morning. The instructions to participate in the virtual commission meeting. The virtual meetings can be accessed to https://zoom.us/j/3255236059. By phone, you can dial 1-301-715-8592 and or 1-253-215-8792. When you connect to a machine, we'll ask you for the ID number, which is 325-523-6059, followed by a pound sign. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Manager, for the invocation, please.
Thank you. Let's rise, please. Lord, today we honor you and glorify you, and we thank you for our countless blessings. We pray for all those who have fallen ill to COVID-19 and for those families who have lost their loved ones during this pandemic. We pray to you so that you can keep our first responders and healthcare providers safe and healthy, so that they are able to continue healing those affected by the virus and everyone who is ill. We thank you for giving us the resolve to be patient, obedient, and accept those things that we cannot change. We pray for all our West Miami families and our city employees during these difficult moments. Lord, guide us with your wisdom today and forever. And we ask this in your name. Amen.
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 Thank you, Madam Manager. If you remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag
of the
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice
liberty
for
and
all.
justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Roll call, Mayor Rhonda Rodriguez,
Present.
Vice Mayor Eric Diaz-Padrón,
Here.
Commissioner Candida Blanca,
Yes.
Commissioner Juan Blanes. Is Commissioner Juan Blanes present?
I don't see him, Madam Manager. I
will,
don't see him.
I will be sending a text message now. Madam Mayor, if you would give me 2 seconds, I will remind him again.
Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead.
Okay, and Commissioner Luciano Suarez,
Yes.
present. Mayor, as of now, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. When Commissioner Blanes joins us, if you please make that announcement that he's joined us. Okay, next item.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Item 4, presentation of minutes for approval for April 28th, 2020 special commission virtual meeting.
I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
You have a first and a second? Call the vote, Madam Clerk.
Yes, Commissioner.
You have a first and a second. Go ahead.
Yes, Commissioner Diaz, Suarez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanca,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Diaz-Padrón,
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez,
Yes.
4-0, item passes. Presentation of minutes for approval for May 6, 2020, regular commission virtual meeting.
I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
You have a motion and a second, Madam Clerk.
Yes, Commissioner Suarez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanca,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Diaz-Padrón,
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez,
Yes,
4-0, item passes.
thank you. Next item.
Item 5, public comments. As of this time, Madam Mayor, we haven't received any public comments through email or phone.
Do we have anyone from the public that's requesting to join the meeting via Zoom?
Not that I see, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 6, report of the city manager.
Good morning, Madam Mayor. Good morning, members of the City Commission. Juan, welcome back. It's great to see you up and about, and I look forward to your return. I did not prepare a written report. However, over the last few days, you have been receiving information from our office regarding the preparations that are in place for our City Hall opening and our Cooper Park opening, which that became effective this morning at sunup. I hope and I trust that all the information meets with the approvals given to us and the directions given to us by the members of the City Commission. The next item on my report is on June 1st, the property appraiser will be delivering the preliminary assessments to the City of West Miami. So we look forward now to actively start preparing for the budget, which we've already been doing. We have been working with Mrs. Leon, with Carlos Trueba, who's with us today, and Jerry Donates from GEMRT, our independent auditors, on how our snapshot will end as of September 30th in our budget, and moving forward some recommendations that you will hear from your auditors this morning. That said, I'll take your questions, any comments that you may have, but that concludes my report.
Thank you, Manager. Does anyone have any questions for the manager on her report? If not, we will move on. Next item.
Item
Clerk?
7, report of the city attorney.
City Attorney will report this morning that we filed, I have already reported the response to the Riddle on May 14th. Banium has until June 3rd to respond to our response, and we'll be able to have an opportunity to respond to their response. Banium has the right to request from the court to have an oral argument. We certainly hope that they won't, because that's very cumbersome. And the court has 2 remedies. One is to request the oral argument, or 2, rule on the pleadings that we have already filed. And that was the end of my report.
Thank you, sir. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 8, report of the city engineer.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. The only thing we have to report right now is regarding the potable water project. We have the ad already out that'll be posted on Monday for the RFP for construction. So the procurement process takes about a month. We'll have a pre-bid meeting next week, and we expect to have bids in mid-June and have a recommendation hopefully by the end of June for selection of a contractor. So that's good news. We'll get that project finally rolling. On the passport office, as you all see, construction has been slow over the past couple of weeks with COVID and everything else. But we did talk to the contractor last week. We're waiting right now the delivery and installation of the windows so we can move forward with continuing construction and getting all the spaces open up. The bathrooms are nearly complete. When I was last out there, there was just a couple minor items to to take care of to finalize that. So those projects should be completed within the next month or 2. That's all I have right now. If anyone has any questions, I can take that.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, I have a
Longo.
question.
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
Go closer to the mic because you're too far from the mic and the sound is very low for you.
The mic's on my ear.
Well,
It's here.
you look like you are in Palm Beach.
I wish.
Thank you, Mr. Alonso. Any other questions for the city attorney? We'll move on. Okay, next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 9, committee reports. Report of the mayor.
I have no report this morning, Madam Clerk. Next item.
Any other committee?
No report. Next item.
No, no report. Item 10, unfinished business. Under unfinished business, item 10A, discussion in reference to temperature check to the public before entering any municipal building.
Madam Mayor, if I may take the, from a report standpoint, if I may report on this, I know this is something that Vice Mayor Diaz-Padrón had expressed an interest. We are taking temperatures. Anyone entering our municipal hall buildings, members of the city commission, our engineers, anyone who's visiting our office building. However, we are unable to locate a temperature, thermometer that basically has the temperature at on the forehead. So it's quite difficult. It's a challenge. As a matter of fact, we have 2 thermometers with refills on order and they have not even arrived. So I don't know what you all want to give us to move forward with.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Anyone have any comments on this item?
Yeah, I just want to circle back on this. Again, the comments from last meeting were not, I was not suggesting that we pursue testing everybody that goes into, not testing, testing the temperature of everyone that goes into City Hall. I was simply suggesting that if that was something that we were going to do, I didn't want to probe residents' ears with a thermometer.
Right.
And that's still my opinion, even if they're entering to the work area. That's something that I don't want to see happen. In regards to the forehead thermometer, I don't know where everyone is looking because I went looking and they're pretty readily available. So you may want to, check your vendors again. I don't know if we're going through government vendors, but if it's something that the city can't get from Walmart and CVS and Rite Aid, I'd be happy to donate them. I think that's everything that needs to be said on that.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Anybody else on this item? Okay, next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 11, new business agenda items. Item 11A, presentation of the financial statements for fiscal year ended September 30th, 2019 by Jerry Donates and Carlos Trueba, city's independent auditors.
Madam
Good morning.
Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Mayor, I'm going to allow my finance director to take the camera here during this presentation. I'll be on the other side so that we can observe social distancing guidelines. If you
Thank
need
you,
me,
Madam.
I'll be right here.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Good morning, Mr. Donates. You have the mic, sir.
Good
Go ahead.
morning. Okay, thank you. Good morning, Mayor Rodriguez and Vice Mayor, City Commissioners, and City Administration. And hope everyone is well and their families are safe. And my name is Jerry Donates. I was the Senior Manager for the city's audit of the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2019. And I'm just going to provide a brief presentation on the results of the audit. Start things off, the opinion in the audit report was an unmodified opinion. So that's good. It means it's a clean opinion. And there were no new accounting policies that were adopted during the year that had a significant impact on the financial statements. There was a new standard that was implemented, referred to as GASB 88, related to debt disclosure, but that was just a matter of additional disclosures in the notes. It didn't have any significant, didn't have any impact on the numbers. In terms of the audit process, we had no difficulties in dealing with management while we completed and performed our audit procedures, and we didn't have any disagreements with management. The finance director, city manager, entire staff, everything we requested, they provided it to us in a timely and efficient manner. In terms of adjustments, there were a few audit adjustments that were posted related to depreciation for the enterprise funds, assets, and some reclasses of expenditures and capital outlay expenditures. There were no findings in the 2019 audit report, and there were also no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies that were noted in the report. And in addition, there were no prior year findings to address as well. In terms of some of the balances, on an overall overview, in the executive summary that you received, the first page has a 4-year comparison of the governmental funds and the enterprise funds. There you'll see the unassigned fund balance in the governmental funds, which is coming from the general fund, has been increasing steadily over the last several years. And this year it increased approximately $250,000. So as of September 30th, 2019, the unassigned fund balance was about $975,000. Now this is good news because in 2010, 2011, that number was only about $50,000. So it's been increasing over the last 9-10 years. Now, ideally, you want this balance to be about 3 months of the budgeted expenditures. So that would take you to a range of 1.5, 1.6 million. But it's getting there. It's definitely getting there. As I mentioned, it's remained consistent. It has been increased. It has gone down a year here or there related to the general fund having to subsidize the enterprise funds, water and sewer funds, but the increases have been consistent. And if the city is able to continue that, it will slowly be able to work towards reaching the goal of the unassigned fund balance of about 3 months worth of expenditures. In the enterprise funds, there were no drastic changes, and the issues there have been the same as they have. And the goal there is, again, to come up with solutions to fund the aging water and sewer system and the major improvements that are needed, which will need some significant funding. In terms of revenues, property tax and revenues and other tax revenues increased as expected. The red light revenues increased when compared to 2018. And so that was a good sign. And then the FEMA grant funding from Hurricane Irma that was received in 2019, and the city was able to pay off the line of credit that it had from City National. The second half of the package you can read on your own. There's a letter there to management and the commission, which basically touches on some of these things I mentioned. And at the end, there's some financial statements, balance sheets, and income statements for the various funds that you can see some more details. And then I basically want to conclude with just two more comments. In 2019, there was a federal single audit as well, which is related to the fact that the city reported federal grant expenditures of more than $750,000. And the major program that was audited was the FEMA grant related to Hurricane Irma. Now, obviously, those expenditures were incurred 2 or 3 years ago. The way these disaster grants work, when the project worksheets are approved and the funding is obligated for the year, that's the expenditures in the schedule. So and I know from experience in dealing with these disaster grants, it's a tough undertaking dealing with these grants, and it took look how many years it takes to receive the funding. But so I would like to commend the city and the finance department for the way it carried it out. We had no findings related to the compliance testing of the grant, and the opinion on the single audit was unmodified as well. And then lastly, I just wanted to touch on the pandemic. Obviously, all businesses and cities are affected by this. And so, we need management and the commission definitely need to evaluate the effects that it is having on the city and will have on the city. So some measures can be, drafted or to mitigate any of the loss of revenues that the city may have. I know for a fact the red light camera revenues are going to be decreasing. That nobody's been driving around the last couple of months. If certain offices of the city were closed, no revenues were coming in. So that's just something to keep in mind as the rest of the year ends now in 20, and then while you prepare for the 9/30/2021 budget. And in closing, I believe the city's management, once again, has done a great job maintaining the budget and the finances of West Miami. And the challenge continues to be just finding a solution for the improvements that are needed in the water and sewer system. I'll turn it over to Carlos. He says he'll say a couple of other comments. Any questions, feel free to ask, and whether now or anytime during the year, we're always available. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Welcome, Mr. Trueba.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, members of the City Commissioner, Mr. Attorney, Mrs. Manager, Mrs. Leon. Great to see you. Great to see you back in the office. It's a pleasure to be here. In the digital world, but I miss being before you in person, and I certainly hope that we can see each other personally in a very soon time, in a very prompt time. I wanted to thank Jerry for a great presentation, and I wanted to address a couple of the issues related to the COVID-19 and the impact that's going to have on the rest of the year. And as I always try to do, with give you my humble opinion on things to look at. Mrs. Aguilar shared a memo that she had written to all of you a couple of weeks ago related to the impact that the pandemic was having on the city. And I had the opportunity to look at it, and I think she's right on point. I believe that you're going to see an additional bit of an impact on sales tax that will be coming in June or July as the economic impact on retail purchases will be felt in a couple of months when those funds get distributed to the cities. I think that her prediction that revenues through the end of this year will probably decrease by a couple of $100,000 is on target. There are a few less expenses because of the pandemic that you'll be able to save. I just ask that for the remainder of the year that you keep you keep your steady pace and try to at least maintain where you can the net revenues flat, so that there is no need to dip into the reserve funds. For next year's budget, it's going to be difficult. I think the impact of this pandemic will be felt for part of next year also. So keep I think that you have great leadership, and I think that you make the right decisions with the budget. This is a year of change, changing lifestyles, changing in the way that we're behaving, and I think those considerations you should take into account when discussing the budget for 2021 in the next couple of months. As always, we're very, very pleased and happy with our relationship with you and with management, and we are here to help you in anything that you need from us. With that, I thank you all for the opportunity to come before you, and I'm happy to answer any questions, and So I'll leave that to you now. If you have any questions for me or Jerry related to the audit. And
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions from the table or from staff?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment for Mr. Trueba.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, Mr. Trueba, I'm very happy to see you because now that you went to an upper business level, the only way to see you is in the internet, the digital world. So we are very happy to see you, my friend. Thank you for.
I'm always very happy to see you.
Thank you for your work, and thank you for your dedication to our small city. For us, it's an honor to be in your hands. Really, we appreciate that. That you come and take care of us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Jerry, I have a question, and I thank you for praising our staff for the excellent job that they've done, and I agree with you. The people that we have in charge of our money are doing an excellent job, and I thank them for that. But you mentioned, and the reason I have this question is because I'm very big on reserves, and I've always, since I've sat up here, you know, I paid attention, and I want to see our reserves grow. And by the numbers that you put out that I'm looking at, it looks like we're about $600,000 off of being where we should be for the 3-month mark of reserves at 1.6. Is there anything we can do that we're not doing to work on increasing our reserves? I know you said we're doing everything we can, but is absolutely anything that we're not doing now that we should look at doing to build that pot of monies up?
No, I mean, yeah, like I mentioned, I believe the city is doing everything it can, and it's you know, it's difficult regarding the fact that the general fund does have to send some funds over to the enterprise funds for some of the losses there. But in regards to maintaining costs low as possible, you know, generating revenues, you know, off the top of my head right now, I can't think of any revenues, any other sources of revenues that aren't coming in right now that can be generated, but that could be something that could be looked into if there's any other revenue sources out there that can be tapped into maybe. But other than that, I think the city is doing what it can in terms of increasing this little by little every year.
So if we stay the course, because I believe you said, you know, our reserves has been on an upward trend. At least when I met with you, you mentioned that we've been on an upward trend for about the last 10 years in our reserves. So yes, it's kind of like slowly but surely. So if we stay the course, we should be able to continue with the upward trend. And slow and steady wins the race. So I'm okay with slow and steady as long as it's going up. So you feel we're okay staying the course and continuing upwards?
Yes, if everything maintains, you know, as it did, like in 19, it increased, like I mentioned, about 250,000. That was a great number. And if you were able to replicate now, that I believe that might be difficult now given the circumstances.
Right. Right.
But if you were able to replicate that the next 2 years, you'd be almost at 1.5 million already.
Fantastic. Okay. Very good. Are there any other questions or comments for our auditors? No? Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here. And I do look forward to when you can join us here in person once again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 11B, this is a discussion on ordinance providing an exception to the permit requirement to repair certain fences during a Miami-Dade County state of emergency related to a natural disaster. This item is sponsored by Vice Mayor Diaz-Padrón, and this is phase 1 of the ordinance. Just for your information and to remind you, phase 1 of discussion, as you established, was phase 1 was discussion, phase 2 was the first reading, and phase 3 was the second reading of the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would anyone like to provide a little more information on this item?
Yeah, I'll begin. So as the clerk stated, this is a discussion item, so it has not been, the proposal hasn't been written yet. And this came from, it's modeled after a county ordinance from a few years back. Actually, Commissioner Blanes has joined us. I wanted to be part of this discussion. So you can, Madam Clerk, if you can recognize him.
Duly noted.
Commissioner Blanes, we're just starting now the items. This is a discussion item that was modeled after a county ordinance that from a few years back that was widely supported on the county commission, is very popular in the community, that allows residents to repair damaged but not destroyed fences after a natural disaster, after a hurricane, without going through a permitting process again. So what it does is it speeds up their ability to fix the fences aesthetically, so it doesn't have, it's not an eyesore for the neighbors, for safety reasons, without going through the permitting process. Obviously, if the fence is destroyed, then they would have to go through the permitting process to build a new fence. It doesn't have to be for all fences. We can limit which fences would apply. That's something I spoke with the manager prior to placing this item, but I would like to bring this up for discussion.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to hear from Public Services on this item as well. Does Public Service have any input on this item?
Yes, I do. Good morning, Mayor, Commissioners, Vice Mayor. The last time when this ordinance was brought up through Miami-Dade County, number one, it was because Miami-Dade County is very vast, and their building department was not able to get up and running right away. They did it mostly because of the pool conditions that were left open to the general public. We have a different scenario in the city of West Miami, where the most pool backyards here are required to have an easement for people to go out and try to replace or put up fences where they have not been properly permitted. Could cause expenses to the homeowner by having to move the fence at a later date. And we have never had the problem with being able to open right after a storm. Usually Public Services back in service 2 hours, 3 hours after the storm has passed. So, and our ability to have a cloud service for a building department allows us to work from anywhere to be able to issue permits or even apply for permits.
All right, if I may. So let me be clear, the number one, I'm not talking about replacing fences because that would require a new permit to build a new fence. I'm talking about damaged fences that are already permitted and you're just repairing them. Second of all, the administration, the county wasn't fond of this ordinance either. It was brought up, but it passed and it's very popular and it works. So I understand Mr. Penna's objection, but frankly, if we went with every objection administration, I don't think we'd ever get anything passed. So if anyone else has any discussion on that.
Well, Vice Mayor, it really isn't an objection. It's the fact that we are always back in service right away, and the ability to walk into City Hall or Public Works Services building now and be able to obtain a building permit or even a temporary repair permit is within seconds of your home. We don't have the same geographical conditions that Miami-Dade County had.
Madam Manager?
Madam Manager, I think it's important we also hear from our building official since he's with us, Frank Alonso, obviously as the building official for the city. Would you at least chime in?
Madam Manager, I don't see Frank Alonso any longer. I don't know that he's still here.
He is.
Oh, okay. I don't.
He is.
Oh, there we are. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I see him.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I think we should hear from Frank. I think he brings a lot of value serving as a building official. You know, I think he's got a pretty good grip. And then I'll come back and give you my take on this as well.
Mr. Alonso, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any, philosophical objection to it. I think like Juan said, we're usually up and running pretty quick, and processing fence permits are probably the quickest permits that we turn around. With that said, if it's, it's not fully, yeah, I guess it would have to be more well defined as to what we're talking about, a repair. If the posts are damaged where you need to reset posts, I think that's a different story. If panels are broken and fall off, I think, obviously if a panel falls off, you can probably just put it back up. But I think it would have to be more well defined in the ordinance exactly what we're talking about, a repair. I think if you're damaging posts and there is a complete destruction of a fence, then it would likely, I would suggest go through the normal permitting process. So there would have to be kind of a threshold pretty well defined as to what we consider a repair. I haven't read the county's ordinance, so I'm not clear on how they addressed it, but I would believe it would have to be just very well defined. So, but if a permit would be required, I think like Juan said, it's the quickest permits to turn around, and we have the ability to do that pretty quick. But
Thank you,
that's
Mr.
my
Alonso.
opinion.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Suarez, go ahead.
Well, I think Mr. Diaz-Padrón is just talking about repairs, an emergency repair. It's no replacement. What I read here, requirement for repairs. So after this is providing exceptions, repairs at the fence during Miami-Dade County emergency. So it's a repairing an emergency case, no replacement. That's what I think Diaz-Padrón is presenting, repair, no replacement.
That's what Mr. Alonso was just referring to. What he was referring to repairs.
Yeah, I
Anybody
think it
else?
would. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, sir. Go ahead, Frankie.
No, I think just I agree with what Luciano's saying. It's just, we have to just be pretty tight in the way that we define repair versus a reconstruction.
But it sounds to me like there's a lot of variables in just a repair as well, as you said. You made it very clear that there are a lot of variables in a repair. It's not necessarily a replacement or new. It's a repair. Anybody else have any comments or questions on this item? Yes. Commissioner Blanes had his hand up first, Madam Manager. Then you'll be next. Go ahead, Commissioner Blanes.
Okay. A repair done by whom? The property owner or a fence company?
That would be one of the variables.
And I think it needs to be considered that if we do have a storm or hurricane and we do have fence damage, fences are usually the last thing the property owner wants to take care of. They want to take care of their roofs. They want to take care of their windows. They want to take care of all the other stuff. Fencing is something that is, I would consider it doing it, one of the last things on my worries if I have property damage. But I think that we need to consider who's going to do this repair. Because if the property owner is going to call a fence company to come and do an emergency repair, then surely he has time to get a permit. So, it doesn't make any sense. Now, if we allow the property owner to go to Home Depot or some supply company, and buy his stuff, and the nails and the screws and the 2x4s, then, he's going to have enough time to get a permit. So, I mean, if the fence is, it's on top of the sidewalk, it makes sense that he can brace it with something and get it out of the way, but, that might need some materials, And if he does have the time to go get the materials, then he surely will have the time to get a permit.
Thank you,
Like-
Commissioner
and like-
Blanes.
And like I'm not done. And like Mr. Pena said, we're a small community geographically, City Hall is very accessible, and we open up pretty quick. I don't think there's ever been a storm that we have not been available, right after the storm. So I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Thank you, sir. Madam Manager, I believe you were next.
Yes, I wanted to also chime in and let you know that there are numerous properties in the city of West Miami that have pools, swimming pools in their homes. And obviously, those are areas that we need to maintain as safe as possible to keep children or an elderly person or somebody walking into a property and simply decide they're gonna either by accident fall in a pool or go swimming if it's a child. They're very inquisitive. I'll speak from experience. My fence after the last storm was damaged. It was actually very wobbly because my neighbors in the back have old fences, and it fell onto my panels. And because I had a pool, we had to repair it immediately. So my husband actually had to go and get some posts and put in some quick repairs. I would not object to something like that. And I think that's the intent of the proposal being brought forward by Mr. Diaz-Padrón, more so from a safety standpoint. We're not, I, for one, I don't believe that we should allow anybody to make any repairs without a permit to anything that has a structural component to it. But a person that has a pool, a person that has a specific set of circumstances, if they have damage, I think they would be able to make the immediate repairs, because we also have to take into consideration that not always can you find a contractor, especially it depends on the nature of the storm. However, maybe we could be, and I'm not saying about relaxing our ordinance, we can ask, we can tell our residents, you're able to make emergency repairs to non-structural areas of your property. However, you must apply for a permit within the 30-day window of time if you're going to be replacing panels or digging holes and pouring concrete, something that requires inspection by the building official. I think we need to focus on the immediate and emergency versus long-term.
Although I agree with what you're saying, Madam Manager, the problem is that once you give the residents that feeling that they could go ahead and proceed without permits, they are also required to call Sunshine for locations. There's utilities underground throughout the city that any person that decides that all of a sudden they need to brace up their fence without a proper permit may go ahead and bypass the requirement of getting utility locations and create more damage and more chaos just because we're trying to provide a sense of security for the backyard or for the front yard. So although I agree with the idea, I don't think it's something that has at any of the 39 years that I've been there affected us in being able to allow someone to secure their property. Getting a permit is nothing out of this world. It's very simple, especially for fences. But I hate to allow anybody to think that their interpretation of a repair is something that would not require a permit.
Right, and I wholeheartedly agree with you, Madam Mayor. If I may just respond to Mr. Pena, I wholeheartedly agree with you. The issue of the underground utilities is a public welfare and a safety issue of paramount importance. I'm just saying something as simple as a panel coming loose as a result of an object hitting it. I'm talking about nailing it to an existing pole, but making just the necessary repairs that are non-structural in nature. Once you're going to dig and once you need to pour concrete, you do require a permit because you do need to get the utility company out there. So I'm just saying overnight immediate solutions, I believe, is the context of what Vice Mayor Diaz-Padrón is presenting. Nothing more, nothing less.
You know,
This is very simple. Commissioner Blanes, if I may, just to be very quick. This is very simple. It's not, we're talking about simple repairs, and we're just talking about residents being, like Commissioner Blanes said, that the fence is the last thing the residents want to worry about, right? The last thing that they'll repair. This is just about a simple repair that they don't have to go and get a permit after a hurricane to do it. I mean, obviously, everything after a hurricane becomes more complex. I know a permit is simple. Everything after a hurricane becomes more annoying. You're dealing with other things. This is for simple repairs. Obviously, if you're doing structural work to the fence, it doesn't apply. These are simple repairs after a hurricane. This is a very limited situation. I don't know why we're talking about natural gas lines, and this has nothing to do with this. This is, again, ease for the residents after a hurricane, simple repairs to fences, which is the last thing they want to deal with.
Go ahead, Commissioner Blanes.
If we want to have this as a law in the books, so be it. But I, as a resident, if we have a storm and my fence is damaged, slightly, some of the slats come off, okay, I'll be damned if I'm gonna need permission from anybody to get a hammer and some nails and fix it and repair it.
That's what.
Okay, but if we want to have it as a law in the books, so be it. But it doesn't make any sense because if this kind of repair is as simple as that, why do we even need to create a law for it? But like I say, I don't care. We'll put it on the books. We'll make it a law. But again, as a resident of the city of West Miami, I'll be damned if I'm gonna need permission to grab a hammer and some nails and nail, and re-nail a few slats to my fence.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Penna, I saw you shaking your head.
I'm in agreement with Mr. Blanes. We have never prevented anybody from securing their property for temporary repairs of such type. However, the interpretation of anyone to be allowed to go ahead and just the word repair has a lot of other implications in it. What I may consider a repair, you may not consider a repair. So therefore, although Vice Mayor Diaz-Padrón said that the gas line utilities was not a big risk involved in a fence repair, you got to realize that a fence post goes down almost 2.5 feet into the ground. And the majority of our service lines to homes for gas are in that range, 30 inches or a little bit more. So just nicking a gas line, if you remember during, it wasn't during Hurricane Irma as much as Katrina and Rita before, we did have plenty of gas lines that were uprooted by trees that fell over, by fences that fell over. And you saw a lot of police activity going out to secure areas where lines just broke. So to add to that by allowing people to go out there and repair their fences without proper notification or proper permitting is just adding more to the services that emergency services that we may have to do during a storm.
Thank you, sir. So basically what I'm hearing is, and no pun intended, but if it's not broke, don't fix it or something like that. What is that saying? So we've never had an issue with the way it's written now, alluding to what Commissioner Blanes said. If a slat falls off my fence, you're going to nail it without a problem. That's how we've done business in your experience for the last 30, 35 years. So I'm hearing if it's not broke, don't fix it. Or if it's broke, fix, don't. What is that saying? Someone help me here. What is that saying?
Well, it's not broken. You can get a permit. It's just about
that was a pun. That was a pun. I didn't mean it.
No, I know, but I know the intention. But you're saying if it's not, yeah.
If it's worked this way for this long,
it works.
Why
you can
revisit
get a permit. It works. You can get a permit. It's just about creating an easier pathway for residents after a hurricane when they don't want to deal with anything to have a simple fix on their fence. Now it works in the county. It's very popular in the county, and I like to imagine that our residents are just as smarter than those in the county. So I don't know why our residents will be dumber and they can't figure out you know, that they're gonna uproot a gas line, and the people in the county have no problem doing it, the residents in the county. So I would hate to think that it works there and it wouldn't work here. So I don't understand that part.
Well,
But
Okay, Commissioner Blanes, and then Mr. Penna, you will go next. Go ahead, Commissioner Blanes.
You know, I think we're beating a dead horse here. It's not a matter of being dumb or smart. I think it's just common sense. And, you know, considering the possibilities, you know, you have property owners, you have renters, you know, that are, and again, the word repair, what does repair mean? Okay, I'll tell you what, we can compromise and let them do repairs that are above the ground. Okay, if they got to make a hole and put a post, no,
Right.
that's it.
What I was saying.
That's it. They need a permit, because if you know, they can make the situation worse. They can hit a water line, they can hit a gas line, they can hit a sewer line, and now we got issues, you know. So I'm in favor of it as long as the repairs are above the ground.
yeah, and to your point, Commissioner, that's something that obviously the ordinance wouldn't read repair of fences. It would be a defined ordinance. It would have rules, and those rules would be worked out with the building with the building department and with the manager, and we'll make sure that all those considerations are taken care of. But I think that's obviously very reasonable, what you're saying, and that would be incorporated.
Mr. Penna, go ahead.
The only thing I wanted to add is that the reason why Miami-Dade County passed this ordinance 2 years ago was because, unfortunately, their code enforcement department was way out there ahead of them, and they started citing people that their fences were down and had pools in their backyards. And yet when they went to the county to pull permits, they couldn't pull permits. So it was a double-edged sword. The code enforcement department was issuing citations for not securing their pool, and they could not pull permits at that time through the county in order to get a repair for the security of the pool. That is why that ordinance passed. If you do your history on that ordinance, you'll see that that was the reason. The code enforcement department went ahead and started citing homeowners throughout Miami-Dade County for having their pools exposed to the public.
Thank you, Mr. Penna. And we all know we are certainly not as big as a county. And it's been working all this time, right? Everything, what we have in place has been working well for residents, it's working for the city. With that said, does anybody else have anything to say? Mr. Garcia, I saw you shaking your head. You have anything to add?
No, I just agree with my director. I mean, it's been working fine. There is a little history on how the county issued that ordinance, and Mr. Penna is correct, to the point where the governor, Scott, had to come out and give an emergency order as a waiver to waive the requirements for fence repairs for only up to a year period.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Anybody else?
Yeah, but that's not the current law. That executive order is not the current law. And I'd like to just state again that when this ordinance was proposed in the county, the administration was very against it. It's not like the administration came up with this ordinance. In fact, it was sponsored by every commissioner, and the administration fought it.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Anybody else? Okay, Madam Clerk, next item.
Yes, so just for clarification.
Madam Mayor,
Yes?
I did not fully hear what the Vice Mayor had to say. I mean, I need directions on whether to prepare or not to prepare an ordinance.
That was my question.
All right, so this is just a discussion.
I need a consensus of whether or not I should prepare an ordinance.
All right,
What he basically needs is he needs enough people on this commission to give me the okay, so I can write the ordinance, so I can work with the building department, with the manager, to actually put something in writing that we can vote on first reading.
all right. Commissioner Blanes, go ahead.
As long as this ordinance is made in conjunction with Mr. Penna, and the word repair is defined without any doubt whatsoever, so it won't come back and bite us in the behind. So
I think there's so many variables in that word repair that it's going to be wide open. But Mr. Penna, go ahead. Your comments on that?
No, I'm in agreement with the Commissioner Blanes.
Okay. All right, so I need to hear from my table. I'll ask one at a time if you want to have an ordinance prepared for this. Commissioner Blanca, I have not seen during the entire, oh, there she is. Okay, Commissioner Blanca, would you like an ordinance prepared for this item?
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Suarez?
Well, this was a discussion. I have no opinion on that discussion.
Well, the attorney's asking for direction.
I heard that, but this is a discussion. I'm not sure. I don't have an opinion. I'm not sure.
Okay, Commissioner Suarez, would you allow me to present a first reading so that we can see what's in the ordinance?
First reading would be for an ordinance.
All right, but you can read it.
Well, this is a free country. You are as a part of the commission. You may present whatever you want of the commission. This is free. If you present again as a resolution, you may do it. This is free. You may do it or you don't. But at this moment, this discussion, I have no opinion on this discussion.
Mr. Attorney, does Commissioner Suarez's non-vote or non-participation suffice for you, sir?
The issue is this, the purpose of the 3 steps that we have created and that you have approved is to get consensus so the city attorney is not mandated to write ordinances that later on become moot.
I understand.
Before. So in any discussion, anybody that is present should express their opinion one way or the other.
Okay, thank you, sir.
An opinion.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Suarez, I need you to go one way or the other on this.
Mayor, are you the mayor or you try to get litigations between the commissioners and the city attorney? I tell you, there was a discussion. And was a discussion, I have no opinion. I heard everybody. I heard the others. And I have no opinion in this discussion.
Commissioner, we need you to vote yes or no if you
Mayor, this was a discussion. Now, don't try to
get the attorney is requiring
don't
a
try to
vote
get
on this.
Don't try. You are the mayor or the attorney is the mayor. Don't try to get litigations.
And don't put words in my mouth. I am the mayor.
Well, no,
the attorney is the
because
attorney, sir.
I have not, like a Commissioner Blanes said sometime, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Mayor. All the times Commissioner Blanes is present, he's not sure, and nobody said anything.
Mr. Attorney?
And you, the commission, have created a system, and you, the commission, ought to apply it. So if you say that we have 3 steps, and the commissioner, the attorney should follow your instructions, I should need the vote. So if you want to pass Commissioner's point and get a majority or one way or the other, I have no objections in writing an ordinance pursuant to the request of the mayor.
Mr. Attorney, if I set precedent and pass on someone voting now, that's I can't do that. If we are all voting, then we are going to vote.
My legal opinion is that the Commissioner Suarez must vote one way or the other.
Thank you.
He has to himself from the meeting.
Thank you. Commissioner Suarez?
How about no?
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Blanes?
Aye.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah.
Okay, I vote yes.
Okay. We shall prepare an ordinance pursuant to the instructions of Vice Mayor Diaz-Padrón and in accord with what have been said here.
On that, Mr. Attorney, please be sure you work very closely with Public Services on the wording of that ordinance.
Yes, I will.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Penna, please, Martin, please avail yourself to the attorney for the specific wording on the ordinance. I want to be sure it follows public services guidelines completely. Okay, Madam Manager, go ahead.
Madam Mayor, maybe we can check with other municipalities to see if they have such.
I object to checking with other municipalities. I mean, we have our municipality, and we should act according to our needs and not what the rest of the world does, you know?
Thank you.
I think that Vice Mayor Diaz-Padrón has all the right in the world, and you have a majority, and I will work with Vice Mayor Diaz-Padrón in order to create an ordinance in conjunction with Mr. Penna, okay?
Well, I want to be sure you work, especially with public services, not only Vice Mayor, but I want the majority of this ordinance to come from public services. They're the ones that know what needs to be in there.
That's what I said. I mean,
Okay.
that I was working with the Vice Mayor and Mr. Penna.
Perfect. Thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk.
11C, request by Mayor Rodriguez to provide a one-time waiver for summer camp registration to city residents / grandparents and a reduction to non-residents in preparation for a possible summer camp. This is pending CDC county guidelines, and this is sponsored by Mayor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And yes, that was exactly how I was going to start this discussion. Obviously, we're waiting on the county. We don't know if, when, or how we will be having a summer camp. But if, when, and how we do have it, I would like to try to help out the parents that will be sending their children to the camp by waiving the one-time registration fee for residents and a reduction in the registration fee for non-residents. And the city manager and I have had discussions on this financially. There's no problem as far as monies are concerned, but I'm going to let her, I'm going to yield to her on the finance part of this. But that's, I feel, one way that we can help out our residents and the parents of our children, if, when, and how they will be coming to summer camp. Go ahead, Madam Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I think you said it best. This is a one-time waiver of registration fees for the kids who are going to be, if there is summer camp, enrolling in the summer camp program. I have been involved as well with managers meetings, as the mayor has with mayor's meetings, and there is reason to believe that summer camp may become a reality in a reduced way, maybe a very short summer camp, but I think that it is under consideration at this time. And so in order for us to waive as a one-time, one-year courtesy, these fees to our city residents to assist them in getting their life back in some kind of sense of order, and reduce it for the non-residents who live in the area, who enjoy the park as well. We're talking about a $15 reduction from $65 to $50 on a registration fee for non-residents, and a one-year waiver completely for children who live in the city or whose grandparents live in the city and can produce identification. Again, I have a feeling that there will be limitations on capacity if, in fact, we are going to see summer camp, and if you vote to approve the summer camp program. As a reminder, the county is setting out or rolling out these rules, but the city can make the rules as published by the mayor of Dade County a little bit stricter if we wanted to. So given the nature of the circumstances this year, I think that the rec center has sufficient reserves to cover this amount.
Thank you. Madam Manager, I just want to clarify, you said a one-year waiver. I want to just be sure that everyone understands that's a one-time waiver on the registration.
Yes, the first, this summer camp, right.
So one-time waiver.
One
Okay,
time.
perfect. Thank you. Any questions? Vice Mayor, go ahead.
I don't have a question, I have a comment. I think this is great, I love it. Thank you for bringing it. I'm full agreement.
Thank you. Any other questions or on this item? Okay, I need a motion.
Motion.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second.
I have a second. Madam Clerk, call the vote.
Commissioner Blanca, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Suarez,
Yes,
Commissioner Blanes,
Yes.
Vice Mayor
He's still there.
Diaz-Patron,
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez,
Yes,
5-0, item passes.
thank you. Next item.
Madam Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
may I interrupt? Do we need an emergency ordinance on this request, Mr. Villalobos? Or a resolution? Or can it be done by the vote of the commission today via an administrative order so that Mr. Don Michael Lopez, who's with us, has a sense of direction here?
Mr. Attorney, did you hear the question?
No, I did not hear the question.
I'm sorry, may I repeat that?
Go ahead.
Mr. Villalobos, my question is, do we need a resolution or an ordinance of the city of West Miami due to the emergency waiving the fees for resident children who will be enrolled at the park this year as a one-time courtesy and reducing the fee by $15 to non-residents for this year only, a one-time courtesy?
Please add registration fee to that, Madam Manager.
Yes.
Even our okay, registration fees is what we're talking about. Go ahead.
Registration, correct. Do we need an ordinance or a resolution,
The
Mr.
difference
Villalobos?
between an ordinance and a resolution is the resolution is the exposure of the will of the commission at one point. An ordinance is something that will go in the book and will stay there forever until repealed. So even though it is not in the agenda as a resolution, the resolution might be in order if everybody consents.
All right, the clerk already called the vote. So, Madam Manager,
I'll draft the resolution, Madam Mayor.
thank you, Mr. Attorney. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Yes, Madam Mayor, item 11D, this is a report and request for guidance from the Office of the City Clerk in reference to the use of the community center as an early voting site for primary elections. And the election date is in August 18, 2020. Early voting dates are scheduled to be from August 3rd through August 16. And the reservation for the community center by the Elections Department shall be from the July 28th, 2020 through August 16, 2020. And as you may know, the Elections Department requested the use of the community center as an early voting, which you approved. And the presidential preference elections took place already. The early voting took place already at our community center, but now they are requesting the space from, as I said, from July the 28th through August 16. Back in when we had the presidential primary, we did not have any problem. Now this is taking place during summer camp, and it requires a deal of logistics. And in the past, we have located the seniors to the recreation center. So the community center may or may not be operating in August, but I need a response, a guidance from you, because the Elections Department has asked for a confirmation of the space because they have requirements to meet, and they need confirmation from us as to if you authorize the use of the community center as an early voting site for the aforementioned dates. So
Thank
I
you.
need your guidance whether to authorize it and give the final okay to the Elections Department for the use of the community center. As I said, from July 28th through August 16.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And you're right, when we voted on the early voting back when, we had no idea what was going to happen or what we're living in now. And I think at this point, this is there's a lot of challenges we're gonna have to, right now, we're being challenged with how we're gonna have our summer camp, number one, the social distancing, the children. We don't know if if the seniors will even be back. There's a lot of questions. But I do understand that we have to talk about it now because the elections department is requesting this because they have to do their planning as well. But I also know that the elections department is pushing for a lot of mail-in ballots to alleviate people having to come into an early voting site after a voting site period because of the COVID-19. So this is going to put a huge challenge on us over and above the challenges we're already experiencing. So let's open the table up to staff and my colleagues for their comments or questions. Who would like to go first on this? John, go ahead, sir.
Aside from everything virus, good morning, everybody. Aside from the worry of the community center participants being here and the crossing paths with the kids, we have the restraint of there's going to be a max capacity per square footage of each building. And I'd assume we'd be close to that number already with whatever summer care program we are able to run. So that would be my main concern, aside from everything else of the obvious of the kids being in close proximity to the senior center.
Thank you, sir. And when summer, you know that the rains come during the summer, so it's not like we could take the children outside during the time. You know, there'll be times I have to be inside, and you're right. We're going to have some social distancing issues to maintain that. So yes, I completely see your point. Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Yeah, I understand the challenges, but I think at the end of the day, we have to work with them because I think voting is the most sacred thing that we can possibly make easier for our residents, especially when the department only has certain locations that it can host the elections. So I think whatever gymnastics we have to do to make it work, we should do because voting is that sacred.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Madam Manager, go ahead.
I have a question for the clerk, Madam Mayor, if I may. Madam Clerk, how soon do you have to respond to the Miami-Dade County Elections Department?
As of this end of this week, because they already requested it, and I communicated with the coordinator, Miriam Rivero, and I asked her to please allow me this week because we had a commission meeting and I had to submit it for consideration to my commission. So we have to respond within this week.
Thank you, Madam. Did you have any other questions, Madam Manager?
No, ma'am.
Vice Mayor, I agree with you as far as the sacredness of the vote, but on voting, you do have the option of mail-in ballots. With our children, we don't have an option. If they're going to be there, you know, they have to take precedent over space. You know, so they're there. We can't. It's not like we can not have them come during this time. If we approve, if summer camp is open, for the sake of those parents who have another option and must send their children, we have to provide the space for them. So they'll be there. It's not like we can ask them to leave during this time. And as far as voting, there is the option of mail-in voting. Anybody else? Anybody else from my commission or staff has a comment or question?
Have a good day.
We have to make a decision.
The clerk needs a direction from us, Commissioner, because she has to report to the elections department. So we have to give the clerk some direction. Commissioner Blanes, was your hand up? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to yield to our administration, you know, because they're the ones that know exactly if this can take place or not. So I think it would be now at this time, you know, beneficial for us to be assured by them if this is something that can be done and be conducted safely or not. And I think our decision needs to be based on that. Because they, out of all people, know exactly what goes on day in and day out. So I think we need to hear from John Michael, from the city manager, and from Mr. Pena.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I know, Don, you already gave us your thoughts on that, but if you repeat that, and then I'll hear from the rest of the administration. Don, if you could repeat your thoughts on this item, please.
Basically, aside from, it's very difficult to keep them when they are here because the seniors, what normally happens is they take again, it's been a different structure because we've had more kids and all that, but they've normally taken the back side of the hall, and then they need to use the bathroom too. There's no real way to keep them away from each other. In a day that it's not raining, yes, we could take a limited amount of kids outside, but we won't know what the weather is until that day comes. And if we have to be in the building, like I said, the main thing is there's going to be a capacity limit, which includes us staff on each building, on each program, per square footage of your building. I don't know how that affects. And if it's a one-day thing, maybe we could, I don't know, close camp that day, but it's not. It's multiple weeks. So I don't know how that would be.
Thank you, John. Madam Manager?
Thank you. Madam Mayor, from a logistics and from a maintenance issue, I think Mr. Pena would agree with his crew and his staff that it can be accomplished. I propose the following. Cancel, well, first of all, I highly doubt that our senior citizens will be back at our facility during this time. I believe that there is talk that they may be out either until early fall or possibly the end of this beginning of next year, of the calendar year. So I would propose to you to authorize and to respect the process of the voting. I would submit to you that you should cancel community center activities for the period of time in question, meaning tell you, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I forgot it was unmuted. Sorry.
That's okay. So I would submit to you that if in fact our seniors are able to come back, is have them take a little bit longer before they come back, because we can do that. Continue to deliver the meals at home and allow the use of the community center as an early voting site. And that would keep the rec open for those parents who, if in fact we're going to be able to have a summer camp for the parents to try to go back to a sense of normalcy and return to work.
So what you're saying, Madam Manager, is if the community center is allowed to open prior to August 16, we will not allow our seniors back prior to that, so that they do not have to be relocated to the recreation center, which solves the problem of not having the seniors at the recreation center or in effect children's attendance at that time at all.
That is correct.
Okay, that makes sense. John, that works for you, right? Okay. Mr. Pena, I saw you shaking your head. Will we be able to sanitize and keep the community center following the county's protocols as far as sanitizing for the sake? Oh, okay, I guess I should ask. We'll be responsible for keeping the community center sanitized and not the elections department, right? Because it's our facility.
I'm sorry.
Mayor, from our past experience, the community center, once it turns into an election site, they really are very picky about who goes into the center.
Okay, so that means, Madam Clerk, I guess this will be a question for them. I want to be sure that if we're still under the emergency order, that they're going to take charge of keeping that community center sanitized and as safe as possible for the voters that are coming in. Have they
Yes.
that at all?
Yes, they asked me because they will abide by any regulation or guideline that we establish. They will abide by it. So I made the comment to Miriam Rivera that what we have in place right now, like wearing masks and taking temperature, and they say they will follow our guidelines.
Right, but what
For
Mr. Penn is
voting.
saying is we will not be allowed in to maintain the sanitizing them, well, whatever, the equipment that has to come from the election department.
No. Yes, that part belongs to them because we can't touch equipment. But in regards to the general cleanliness, like cleaning the bathroom or the kitchen, or the use, like for the voters to come, they have to go by what we have established.
But Mr. Penn says we will not be allowed in to do that.
To clean, usually, Mr. Pena, when
We get friction every time we go in there to do custodial work from the people that are assigned to the center. They obviously don't trickle that information down to the people that are at the center during the election process. And they continuously butt heads with our staff about cleaning the center.
Okay, I'm gonna have to address that with the coordinator, because they should allow our janitors to come and clean the general areas. Equipment we can touch, but the general areas, that's what we had agreed in the past.
I just now this, during this during this COVID-19, more important than ever. So, Madam Manager, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
I did. I think you can vote it up or down, whatever the commission desires, but with the understanding that we put some conditions in that authorization that you make today, that we should have access to the center for maintenance of the bathrooms, the kitchen, the floor, and like Annette mentioned, the general areas without touching their equipment, and subject to reimbursement by the county, so that we can also disinfect the center professionally before the senior citizens come back, like we've done with all of our city facilities before the public gets back in. Would you agree to that, Anna? I think from a maintenance standpoint, I see you're nodding yes. I would not reopen to the seniors until the facility is professionally sanitized.
Okay.
Not only that,
I would just caution one thing. I understand what the manager's saying, and I agree 100%. But if I don't want to condition it totally on them giving us access, if they are going to put a robust sanitation process in themselves, if they're going to do that themselves robustly, I don't know why we would want access even. So I don't want to put that condition, but I would go conditioner on if there being sanitation. But I don't, I wouldn't condition on us being the one to do it.
We've done it in the past, Madam Mayor. We have cleaned the use of the facility for early voting, and we have billed the county. Most recently, I believe we were not reimbursed for this. However, things may be different now because of COVID-19, and they may want us and they may encourage for us to take the precaution. So what I'm saying is, if you're going to vote favorably to this request, then I would put it with certain conditions so that ANERI can submit those conditions to the elections department.
I would also include there any subsequent disinfection by that company that we just used, SFM, because this is a 2-week period, almost 3-week period. So you can't go a 3-week period without the center being disinfected, having people go in there, because then they could contract the disease once you've invited them in there.
I wholeheartedly agree, Mr. Pena.
And somebody has to.
And somebody has to pay for it. Okay, so with all said restrictions, that have been said during this meeting, especially the one that we will not open our community center to our seniors until after the early voting, especially that one, first and foremost, and with all said restrictions that have been recommended by staff, I need a motion to, a motion for the clerk to proceed and let the elections department know that they may use our community center for early voting. I need a motion. Do I
Second.
have a second? I have a second.
I apologize, Mayor. Who made the motion?
Vice Mayor
Okay,
and second by Commissioner Blanes. Call the vote.
okay. Commissioner Blanca, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Suarez, how do you vote?
Commissioner Suarez was not present for the discussion, so he will not be voting.
Okay, Commissioner Blanes, how do you vote?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Diaz-Padrón?
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, did I miss something? Did Commissioner Suarez ask to be excused from the meeting? Because I no longer see him on here.
No, Madam Mayor, not that I know.
Okay, let the records reflect, Madam Clerk, that I'm not sure at what point, but Commissioner Suarez left the meeting, but I honestly cannot say that I noticed exactly when. I know he wasn't present for this discussion on this item, but I don't know at what point he left the meeting. So just for the records, be sure that's noted.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Okay, next item.
That's the last agenda item on issues. Item 12, consent agenda items. We have none. Item 13, good of the order.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Has anyone requested from the public to speak at this meeting?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.